Date, welcome to the bulletin. Here are the headlines for the next 1 hour.
360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Court of Appeal acquits and discharges former Denchoboase Assemblyman William Barr, who was serving a life sentence for allegedly abetting the murder of Major Maxwell Mahama.
Also coming up tonight, Ghana Armed Forces resumes Greater Accra recruitment with new measures to safeguard applicants after death of 6 in stampede at Elwak Stadium last week.
And later in the bulletin, 3 Foundation and Management of Media Generals start fundraiser to secure accommodation and a shop for 32-year-old domestic violence victim Harriet Amuzu to employ her economically.
In business news, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry welcomes 2026 budget as pro-business but insists VAT rate remains excessively high despite government's marginal reduction.
On the international front, Nigeria separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu given 4 life sentences along with others to be served concurrently after being found guilty of terrorism. We are live around the world on 3news.com. Do be a part of the show. Send us your messages on our various social media platforms.
In our very first story, the Court of Appeal has acquitted and discharged the former Assemblyman of Denchoboase, William Barr. The Court of Appeal ruled that the evidence and witness testimonies relied upon by the High Court were insufficient and did not support the conclusion leading to his conviction and sentencing. Lord Edward Sari was in court and filed this report.
On January 29, 2024, a 7-member jury returned a guilty verdict against William Barr and 11 others who were sentenced to life imprisonment for their roles in the murder of Major Adams Mahama after they were convicted by the Accra High Court. The former assemblyman for Denchoboase in their central region was found guilty on the charge of abetment of murder. Bernard Asamoah, Kofi Nyame, Akwesi Barr, Kwame Tufo, Joseph Appiah-Kubi, Michael Enim, Akwesi Asante, Charles Queening, Emmanuel Beidu, John Boasi, and Kwejo Enima were found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. The jury also returned a guilty verdict on the charge of murder against Asamoah, Nyame, Barr, Tufo, Kubi, Enim, Asante, and Queening. 2 others, Bismarck Donko and Bismarck Abanga, who stood trial alongside the 12, were however acquitted and discharged after the jury returned a verdict of not guilty to the charge of conspiracy to commit murder. A 3-member panel of justices of the Court of Appeal on Thursday, November 20, in a unanimous judgment, held that the trial judge in the matter misdirected the jury and that the evidence of prosecution witnesses 8 and 11 did not corroborate with each other. Overwhelmed with emotion, William Barr broke down in tears after hearing that he had been acquitted and discharged. Lawyer for the former assemblyman, George Bernard Shaw, expressed delight over the court's decision.
The most dramatic was what happened in the sports at the Terminal Court 3 when the uncle of the late Major Mahama, may he rest in peace, accosted me openly and tried to shove a blow down my spine, and they left taking the judge to arrange for a police escort to take me out of the court services. I'm very emotional. In a way, actually, I'm not really like that one word in the case.
One of the 3-member panel of justices, Ernest Osudapa, advocated for public education against instant justice of alleged criminals. He indicated that the ordeal of the late Major Adams Mahama was a very sad one and one that he did not deserve. However, justice had to prevail. Lord Rasari, TV3 News, Accra.
In more news this evening, 3 Foundation and Management of Media General have started a fundraiser to help secure an accommodation and a shop for 32-year-old domestic violence victim Harriet Amuzu to empower her economically. Meanwhile, Harriet has been taken to a safe haven following an intervention by the Gender Minister and the Ghana Police Service.
Harriet Amuzu's story got many Ghanaians talking, highlighting the need to curb the canker of domestic violence in society. I was at a funeral on Saturday in my hometown when he called to say that my younger son was ill and that I must return to cater for him. I only came home to find the kids playing and asked why he lied to me. At night, he wanted to have sex with me. I refused because we've been estranged for 5 months. He told me that he had set a trap for me. He wanted to kill me.
They are handling the criminal aspect of it, and so we'll take the needed steps to ensure that she's also okay. She's healthy and strong, and then we can look at economically how to support her whilst this case is also being handled by the police.
Economic empowerment is important for survivors of domestic violence as it provides them with the needed resources to regain control over their lives. To help Harriet gain financial independence, 3 Foundation, the corporate social responsibility arm of Media General, has started a fundraiser inviting Ghanaians to join hands to help secure an accommodation and shop for Harriet Amuzu. Viewers can send donations to 3 Foundation's Momo number 05974331110, reference Harriet Amuzu. You can also send your donation to 3 Foundation's Zenith Bank account number 6010603927 or by personally bringing your donation to Media General at Desawe Kanda. Let's come together to help Harriet break free from the cycle of abuse and build a great future. No amount is too small. Meanwhile, the chair of the Women Caucus in Parliament, Comfort Doyo, has described as unfortunate the physical abuse meted out to 32-year-old domestic violence victim Harriet Amuzu. She advised women not to avoid red flags while in relationships, urging the Ghana Police Service to act with urgency when cases of domestic violence are reported.
This is very unfortunate, and as we've seen this one, it's not the only one. There is a lot that is not in the public domain, and women should be extra careful when it comes to toxic men. Toxic men cannot change. You cannot change any man. So don't stay in toxic marriage and assume that that man is going to change. The moment you realize, normally we pick the red flags before marriage, but we assume that we can change them. How can you change somebody who have been trained by his parents for years? And you met the person and you said, I will change. You can't change him. So the moment you see that red flag, you are a girlfriend, you are not married yet, and the beatings have started, please pack yourself somewhere. She said even in front of the police, the husband beaten her. Why should it be so? What is it that you cannot arrest this man and caution ask him to sign a bond? What is it that the dorsal unit of Tesano, is it Tesano police station, cannot come in and said, woman, this marriage is not safe for you. Find a place. If the man needs you, he should come there and visit you. What is it that they cannot advise?
Good advice coming from the Member of Parliament. Away from that, the Ghana Armed Forces screened nearly 5,000 applicants on the first day of its nationwide recruitment exercise. This comes on the back of last week's unfortunate stampede that led to the death of 6 persons.
The Airworks Stadium is the main center of the military screening exercise and was the scene of the stampede that occurred on Wednesday, November 12. A week after that incident, the situation has changed. On Thursday, November 20, the military resumed screening with new safety measures in place. From the entrance to the screening zone, clearly marked demarcations now guide applicants through each stage of the process.
Everything is orderly today. We have this center as the Airworks Center, and we have 2 different teams for the Airworks Center. Initially, the presser we sent out was that we're going to take care of 600 persons or people per day. Today, based on experience we gathered or intelligence we gathered from Kumasi, the process at Kumasi, we realized that they were able to do about 1,000 a day. So we realized that we could increase the number to 800.
We found out that one of the applicants had a forged summary sheet. The summary sheet is what you get after you have applied on our portal. So it was realized that there are some unscrupulous people who just dupe these unsuspecting applicants who want to serve the nation, and they create their own interfaces and issue out their own vouchers and give them SMS short messages that they are supposed to come for screening today. So in the process of checking their documents, we found out that one person had a forged summary sheet.
2 main screening centers have been set up at Airworks Stadium. The same structured setup was observed at other screening locations, including Nicholson Park at Bema Camp, the Air Force Base, Tershi Stradrock, and the Eastern Naval Command in Tema. The Chief of the Defense Staff, Lieutenant General William Ejapon, monitored the exercise at Airworks Stadium, while the Chief of the Army Staff, Major General Lawrence Betanu, toured other centers.
We want to commend the general public for adhering to the instructions that only non-applicants should get to the centers. For that has reduced the crowd level, and so things are going smoothly. I can also tell you that for the unfortunate ones who got injured, they are receiving medical treatment at 37. Some of them go in and out. Those who are still on admission are being taken care of well. But for me, what is important is the lessons that we learned from this particular exercise. This has told us that we need to do things differently moving on. And from the next possible recruitment section, we will come out with measures that makes this thing more seamless than it has been.
Later, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and Interior, led by Chairman James Agalga, visited some of the screening centers.
What we have seen is very satisfactory. I mean, it's impressive. We've seen that, yes, they have now formed quite a number of centers, teams, to simultaneously assess the eligibility of the applicants.
He gave an update on the injured who are still receiving treatment at the 37 Military Hospital. The Greater Accra phase of the military screening exercise is expected to run for at least 5 days. Joseph Armstrong, Good Alugbe TV3, Accra.
In more news tonight, Parliament is under pressure to weigh whether to approve a revised lithium mining agreement. With major terms altered after a sharp fall in global prices, the House must now decide, does this new deal still serve Ghana's best interests? Grace Hamwajiman has more.
When the government of Ghana signed a mining lease with Barari BV Ghana Limited in October 2023 to develop the country's first lithium mine in Ewoya in the central region, it was touted as a major step forward for Ghana's entry into the global green minerals race. The deal offered Ghana 10% royalty and 13% carried interest, a significant departure from the standard 5% royalty and 10% carried interest offered in most mining contracts. Fast forward in 2025, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofibua, has presented a revised lithium mining agreement to Parliament for approval, citing a sharp decline in global lithium prices from about $3,000 per ton to around $630.
We took advantage of, at the time, the high lithium prices of 3,000 to, for example, move beyond the normal royalty of 5% and move it to 10% and other provisions. Based on their request, 3 key areas has been looked at, and that called for us to look at the new lease. The new lease has been negotiated, sent to Cabinet for approval, and we are here in Parliament to get ratification in accordance with Article 268.
But a former member of the Council of State, Samuel Okujeto, says Parliament should proceed with caution and negotiate in the interest of Ghana.
Let us tell whoever is signing this document, and I don't even want to condemn our MPs, we will caution them and advise them to do what is right, what is in the interest of Ghana.
The 3 key areas of the deal which have been revised include royalty, which has been adjusted to 5% instead of the initial 10%. Also, VAT on capital inputs and the feasibility of the Salpon transshipment facility. The question then is, with all of these variables on the table, should Parliament ratify this contract?
Parliament should ratify it, but you see, when they are varying the fiscal terms, they should do a sliding scale rather than a fixed rate. We used to have that arrangement in the gold sector, where it was a range between 3% and 6%. So when the prices are good, then the companies will pay more. When the prices fall, then they pay less. So that it becomes a win-win for the resource owner and the company as well. The lithium contract that was actually negotiated by the MPP was not a bad one. But I'm not in support of a fixed rate. I'm hearing 5%. That won't be a good one.
Some analysts say the absence of a framework or policy to guide minerals exploitation in the country will always result in this back and forth.
There should be Ghana's policy on the exploitation. I like the word exploitation because it means you have it and you are now making the most of it. Yes, so the extraction, the processing, the production, the manufacture, everything. There should be a policy that is declared so that any agreement that's going to be signed or ratified henceforth must at least have a particular framework which is a far departure from the colonial structure.
The debate on Ghana's first lithium mine is now on the front burner. Parliament will now have to decide whether to go ahead and ratify the contracts or hold on until global prices appreciate. Grace Hamwa Ajaman, TV3 News, Accra.
The Institute of Economic Research and Public Policy has critiqued the 2026 budget, saying it did not deliver the paradigm shift it promised Ghanaians. Whilst applauding government for some measures to ensure local production, the institute lashed out at the Bank of Ghana for what it described as an artificial sustainability of the cedi.
Speakers of the economic think tank took turns to critique sectors of the economy as presented by the finance minister, citing lack of clarity on government interventions.
We were told that the previous NPP government was operating an elephant-sized government. Do you all remember? So one was expecting that the government that promised to operate a lean government, in other words, the government that told us that they were going to operate a mosquito-like government, we expected that reasonably they will spend less in paying workers as far as their compensation is concerned. But this is the same government that is actually spending more than it budgeted in paying what? Workers' salary.
We've recorded quite significant increases in our gold exports from the per the Bank of Ghana data. And now with the establishment of Ghana Gold Board, we are seeing gold board exports hitting 11.2 billion. Is this something that is due to the establishment of Ghana Gold Board? No, it's not due to any establishment of Ghana Gold Board. Ghana Gold Board was established where? Somewhere around April, May, isn't it? So prior to Gold Board, we were seeing significant increases in our gold exports.
We hope and we pray this administration will take advantage. Property rate is an area that I'm sure they remain on tap, resources that must be tapped. Then we also have mining sector revenue audit. Remember when the price of gold started going up? Ask me, the loss for those who pay royalties, it's remained the same. Even when price of gold going up, the government should take advantage.
A member of the group, economist and lecturer, Dr. George Domfe, urged government to use the 2026 budget to create and ensure economic sustainability.
Let me commend the president for Nkokwan Ketinkete. It is positive to cut down what we would have imported. And so if Ghana, we are able to produce more cars, as Nana Akufo-Addo also brought 6 car assembling plants. We are able to do so many of these things here. People may no longer chase dollars as much as they are doing today to go and what? Import. And that is the major reason why CD will become what? Stronger. And once CD becomes stronger through that process, what are you doing? You are creating jobs for your people, because anytime you want to produce, you must definitely employ what? Engage what? Hands.
Let's now go to the Western region, where the managing director of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Adam Muta Wakilu, has assured that enough measures are being put in place to ensure proper maintenance at the new Daboase water treatment plant, which is 96% complete. During an inspection of the project while on a working visit to the region, he disclosed commissioning is set for March 2026. A report by Irama Smith.
Sekondi Takrade's water supply, long dependent on the overburdened Daboase and Intraban treatment plant, is on the verge of a major transformation. The existing plant, struggling with age and a drastic reduction in capacity due to illegal mining, will soon be replaced. A new project, which began in 2022 and is now 96% complete, will provide a reliable supply by producing 22 million gallons of water per day. According to Ghana Water Company Limited's Managing Director, Adam Muta Wakilu, the new plant is expected to be operational by March 2026.
This project has been going on for the past 3 years, and we are currently at 96% completion. So that means 4% is left. So as you can see, most of the structural work and the electrical and the laying has been done. It's just left with the finishing aspect of it. However, there will be another phase which is in respect to transmission, and we are now putting together notes to see how His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will be able to take it up to make sure that we have a dedicated transmission line for the new treatment plant.
Adam Muta Wakilu expressed his satisfaction with the progress on site, adding that adequate supply of spare parts have been secured to ensure it can be properly maintained long after construction concludes.
I'm very satisfied with the quality of work. Very, very satisfied. And even with the additional things they are doing, which were not part of the contract. The construction of the bridge wasn't part of the contract, but they have constructed it for Ghana Water. And also the most important thing I would like us to note is the spare parts. There will be 2 years spare parts for the treatment plant. So that means that within 2 years, we can change. And if we manage the plant well, these spare parts can be there for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And that is one of the very interesting things for me.
The initial plant will have a capacity of 200,000 cubic meters, with an additional 100,000 cubic meters to be added later. Lead consult for the contractor Leap Consult, Emmanuel Sasu, stated the project, funded by Comex Bank in Austria, includes a 12-month defect liability period during which the contractors are obliged to repair any issues that arise. Sasu also explained that the Pra River will be dredged to remove sediment and debris from it.
Currently, we are still in the period of construction. And after construction, we have 12 months defect stability period, where any defects in the project, they'll be here to repair it. Let me also add that because of the nature of the Pra River, we also procure the dredger to dredge the Pra River in case of any siltation because of the illegal mining. So that will be fully procured, and the spare parts for 2 years. We have on site a new power plant because of the nature of the work we are doing.
Irama Smith, TV3 News, Daboase.
Now, 12 Ghanaian EdTech startups have wrapped up their 2024 MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship after 6 months of intensive acceleration. The cohort, supported by MEST Africa, reached more than 74,000 learners and over 1,100 teachers across the country, a feat that contributes to the growth of education and technology in Ghana.
The MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship is an acceleration program supporting high-potential Africa EdTech ventures with business, financial and learning science expertise. Launched in 2019, it works through innovation hubs across the continent to strengthen and scale homegrown solutions. The journey of this year's cohort ended with a demo day in Accra, where teams showed how their solutions are making learning easier and more accessible across the country. Speaking at the event, the program's manager for MEST Africa, Angela Duho, commended the fellows.
To our cohort 2 fellows, we are incredibly proud of you. Your grit, your creativity, and your unwavering belief in the future of learning in Ghana have brought us to this moment. This is just the beginning.
Some of the fellows shared how the fellowship has enhanced their projects and the impacts they have made in their respective educational startups.
Support from CMUD to MasterCard EdTech Fellowship has been quite evident. They have given us the necessary support, even with other companies in the EdTech space, where we are able to collaborate and push the same core vision that we at ATDP are pushing.
The fellowship has been of immense impact to our organization. It has given us the exposure, the network, and the funding we needed to go into the next step of our impact journey.
The organizers say the gains made this year will lay the groundwork for deeper innovation and wider learner impact as the next cohort begins next year, 2026.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. When we return, we'll let you know what's happening in the world of business.
I love President Charcoal. Why? When there are so many other charcoal toothpaste. That's both charcoal and lemon. Oh, does it? Yes. Look right here.
Yes. Pepsodent Charcoal has 2 of nature's powerful whitening ingredients. With the power of activated charcoal and lemon essence, it removes stains and whitens teeth.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obudu. Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has welcomed the 2026 budget as broadly pro-business, but says the proposed value-added tax rate remains too high despite the marginal reduction announced by the government. The chamber notes that the cut from 21.5% to 20% is a step in the right direction, but still above the West African sub-regional average of 17%, a gap it warns could affect competitiveness for local businesses.
Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of a post-budget forum organized by the Chamber, Chief Executive Mark Bedu-Aboagye said a rate of 18% would have been more appropriate to support private sector growth.
Our concern largely is the effective VAT rate of 20%. On average, in Africa, we are doing about 17%. So we were of the view, when we met the IMF team and Ministry of Finance, we made it clear that the best for the country should have been effective VAT rate of 18%.
The Chamber also kicked against government's plan to return to the domestic bonds market.
We want to recommend to the government to reconsider its plans to re-enter the domestic bond market, even with a cautious approach, to avoid crowding out the private sector and to prevent a return to debt distress. We believe it is too early in the days to start accruing additional debts.
Economist Professor Patrick Isuming added that the budget appears business-friendly, with government's plan to maintain macroeconomic stability.
If you look at the targets for 2026, it paints a picture that the government is planning to maintain and improve on the macroeconomic environment. I'm sure businesses will be very happy to hear that. Government planning to keep its expenditure under control.
The Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjari, says Ghana's new phase of industrial transformation will be anchored on value addition as government moves to reposition the economy for productivity and global competitiveness. She highlighted the 24 Economy Initiative is a catalyst for round-the-clock productivity in manufacturing and agro-processing. The minister spoke at the launch of the Africa Trade Summit 2026 here in Accra.
Producing in Ghana gives you access not only to our domestic market, but to the continental market of 1.3 billion people. This is a unique strategic advantage that we intend to strengthen through continuous policy reforms, trade facilitation measures, and close collaboration with the AFTA Secretariat. However, none of this progress can be sustained without strong partnerships. The private sector is the engine of industrialization, but for it to make progress, we as policymakers and public institutions must create the enabling environment to guarantee success and support for SMEs to grow.
Consumer electronics brand TCL says its presence in Ghana continues to grow significantly, with sales of its products, especially televisions and air conditioners, more than doubling in recent years. The company has introduced a full range of new AC technologies, promising higher efficiency, competitive pricing, and cleaner indoor air for households and businesses.
TCL says its growth in Ghana has been steady and impressive. At its latest launch event focused entirely on air conditioning solutions, TCL unveiled a full range of new models. These include the Fresh In, Breeze In, Vox In, Save In, as well as VRF systems, light commercial ACs and duct ACs, all designed to meet the needs of homes, offices, and larger facilities. According to the marketing manager of TCL, Dennis Fix-and-Lai, its newest ACs can save up to 75% energy compared to regular air conditioners.
Our energy efficiency are saving up to 75% compared to normal air conditioning. So you are saving up to 37% again compared to inverter air conditioning. So it means that you are saving more than any other air conditioner, up to 75 plus 37%. Basically, you are not using any electricity.
Country manager of TCL Ghana, Stan Wu, noted that TCL is a leading home appliance in the country and is a mass purchase product for all Ghanaians.
TCL is become a leading brand of home appliances globally. We have very good technology and products. Also, our price is more competitive compared to some brands. So I think in past years, TCL is becoming a major brand in Ghana.
Sales manager of Electroland Ghana Limited, Vincent Azangbiok, noted that the launch of this new product is the first of many to come.
The new air conditioner comes with a new feature which introduces fresh air into your homes. So there's a particular pipe that introduces fresh air from outside, fresh air that's being filtrated definitely into your home. So you are breathing fresh air and you are getting the best cooling you can get. It's going to be an annual event, so expect us next year around the same time.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
Is brought to you by Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, tonight, we bring you the remarkable story of a young man whose life changed in a single moment, a moment that tested his faith, his strength, and his will to rise again. What began as an innocent attempt to try a new sport ended in a devastating accident that left Mohamed Abdullah paralyzed and fighting for a future he never imagined. But nearly 10 years on, his journey is not just defined by tragedy, it's defined by resilience. This story, told by 3 Sports, is one of leap, one life, and an unbroken spirit.
Popular theoretical physicist Albert Einstein once said, "A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new." The quote highlights the importance of taking risks as a pathway for future success. For Mohamed Abdullah, however, one risk, one attempt at trying an unfamiliar sport changed his life forever. A single jump landed him in a wheelchair, dependent on a urinary catheter, a flexible tube inserted into the bladder to drain urine, a reality he's lived with for nearly a decade.
Because of this, me need friend be a mission inside, and emotional side just on the day. I did.
Abdullah, the first of 2 siblings, was born at a pump junction in the central region, about 68 kilometers from Cape Coast. As a child, he idolized Michael Essien, watching the former Chelsea and Black Stars midfielder religiously. His passion for football continued after gaining admission to Swedru Senior High School, where he also developed an interest in sprinting. Known among his peers as a banger, he impressed many with his skill on the ball and speed on the track. But everything changed on November 21st, 2015. On his way to the school field to prepare for an inter-house competition, Abanga noticed a group of students behind the House 3 block attempting some high jump moves using mattresses as a landing cushion. Unaware that the housemaster had warned students the day before not to engage in such activity, Abanga, who had never tried the sport, decided to give it a go. That single leap marked his last as an able-bodied man, bringing his formal education to an abrupt end.
So he went head first, like he dove straight into the thing and landed on his neck with his leg facing up. And like the boys were laughing because it was a funny freestyle. And he made it, like he made it over the bar. So they all thought like he was joking. So whilst he was in the, like his head planted in the ground, another guy jumped, collided with him for him to fall. And he was lying, as I said, like he was still lying there for some time. He was like, I can't feel my legs. I can't move. As I said, he thought he was just faking it.
Abdullah was rushed to a hospital in Swedru and later transferred to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital with the help of an old student. He spent nearly 3 months bedridden, battling a spinal cord injury. Swedru Senior High School provided as much support as they could.
Truly speaking, all the costs involving his admission and medical bill or whatever was borne by the school. At that time, teachers were receiving, we used to have extra classes by then. And it coincided with that time, the incident. So every teacher committed something, not below 50 Ghana, I remember very well. Apart from that, the student body also did some contribution.
Abdullah was scheduled for surgery in February 2016, but his hopes were dashed when nurses and midwives began an indefinite strike over unpaid salaries, forcing him to return home. Abandoned by his father after the incident, the 29-year-old has since been cared for by his mother, Ivy Owusuanza. Once a hairdresser, Ivy sold most of her belongings to care for her son and has faced years of financial struggle.
Especially catheter now they are sharing 3 weeks be a Mrs. na muka 1.5 every 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks I had 10 years. atɔ me ho nneɛma nyinaa me salom na si hɔ no atɔ sɛ meyɛ adwuma biaa mebɛg ɛdumi bi a mekɔbɛgi wɔ asɔre.
In a bid to rebuild his life, Abanga enrolled in a graphic design course at IPMC, hoping to develop a skill that could earn him an income. But without a personal laptop, securing freelance work has been an uphill task. Still, he refuses to let circumstances define him. His optimism endures, and so does his dream of one day taking his own steps again.
I did be able to dream say, even say, my nan to be my or say me a baby. And I said, me and baby your cross are still I say me try say my nan to be. See, me give you up say my nan to be. Me pass with the right medications and physiotherapy. Me to my nan to be.
Life has not given Abdallah the path he expected, but he continues to write his own story, one of resilience, faith, and the will to rise above tragedy. Just as Einstein suggested, mistakes and risks are part of growth. For Abanga, his sleep may have taken away his legs, but it could never take away his spirit.
That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishe.
Hello again, coming up international news.
A court in Nigeria has found separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu guilty of terrorism and other charges following a decade-long legal case full of drama. He has been given 4 life sentences along with other terms to be served concurrently. The prosecution had called for the death penalty, but Judge James Omotosho said that executions were now frowned upon. In his ruling, he said he was satisfied that Kanu had made a series of broadcasts to incite violence and killings as part of his campaign for a separate state in southeast Nigeria known as Biafra. Kanu was convicted on all 7 charges as well as terrorism. They included treason and involvement with an outlawed movement. Kanu fled Nigeria in 2017 but was forcibly returned to the country in 2021 after being arrested in Kenya. Incumbent Guinea-Bissau President Umaru Sissoco Embalo faces surprisingly strong competition in presidential election on Sunday. The election is coming against the back of a booming cocaine trade and a deeply polarized political climate. Umaru Sissoco Embalo's main challenger is Fernando Diaz, 47, of the Party for Social Renewal PRS, who has drawn large crowds while promising to promote unity and reconciliation and prevent soldiers in the coup-prone West African nation from interfering in politics. Though there are 12 candidates in the running, the race comes down to ex-Army General Embalo, 53, and Diaz.
Thank you for spending the last hour with us. That's it for the bulletin. I am Martin Asiedudati.
And I'm Portia Gabo. Do join Kemini Amano at 10 p.m. for Ghana tonight. Good evening.